Hey, I'm JR, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. Today, I'll be joined by Dylan, aka DK, from the Boiler Express. And today, we're talking the latest news and notes of Big Ten football. We're diving into the 30 Big Ten players who cracked the NCAA Top 100 NCAA Football video games Top 100 list, breaking down the coaches who are currently throwing some shade at Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, and how one of them and Jim Harbaugh have not even spoken since the shade was thrown months ago. And we're unpacking Wisconsin's bold lawsuit against Miami, with the Big Ten backing them up. From star players to spicy coach comments and conference drama, we've got it all covered for you in this episode. This is the Big Ten Huddle, where we bring you the pulse of Big Ten football with fun, entertaining takes on every Big Ten team. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, tell us your favorite Big Ten player in the comments. Listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you're doing that, give us a 5-star review to help grow the Big Ten Huddle. Catch our episodes every weekday, Monday through Friday on podcasts, and also you can join us on YouTube at 9 p.m. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights for live shows where we make those podcasts there. And you can also join in the conversation on X at the Big Ten Huddle, or Instagram, or get in the email and email me your thoughts, jrsrankings@gmail.com. Also follow Boiler Express on Twitter at Boiler Express for more from DK and the guys. Thank you for tuning in. Let's jump into the action. Welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. Listen, if you've never experienced DK on a podcast before, this one's going to be a little off the rails. I'm not going to promise the most insightful analysis in the world, but I will promise you'll probably, maybe crack a smile, maybe get a laugh or two. Dylan, I don't think I'm underselling you here, am I?
No, not at all. You needed somebody to talk football, so you brought in the Purdue guy. I mean, it's natural. It's a natural fit. I know everyone's thinking, oh, it's a football podcast. Cool. What do we got? Eric from the OHIO pod. Nope, the Purdue guy.
The Purdue guy. We'll make it. Well, the Purdue guy hasn't been having any podcasts right now because the Pacers are in the NBA Finals, and all his podcast brethren don't want to talk about anything. No. Other than the Pacers. So, there's not a whole lot going on with the Purdue podcast right now. So we'll bring DK in and have a good time with that. DK, let's say hello to the people in the comment section. We got Yankee Wolverine. He says, your graphic for the episode reminds me of me during the trouble with the snap game. Of course, I followed up by weeping fetal position for several hours. Guessing you did not. I actually wasn't even watching that game when it happened. That was one of those ones where I saw it afterward, and I just was in complete shock that play happened. So no, I was not in the fetal position, but trust me, Yankee, if it was my team, I would have definitely been in the fetal position.
I'm a Purdue football fan. We're always in the fetal position. That's natural for us. I mean, that's just where we live.
Yankee says, I was in the fetal position. Dylan's like, yeah, standard Saturday for us.
Yeah, that's every Saturday in the fall months for us. I mean, and I'm there, which makes it even worse. I keep paying for season tickets. I don't know why.
Yeah. Billy Tuesday, evening Billy Tuesday. Appreciate you being here. Which has more nonsense right now, the NCAA or the Middle East?
Yikes.
Oh, Max, we're going to just leave that one there. It was really funny to read, but I'm just going to leave it there, Max. But if you listen to this podcast, you know where we stand on that one. Robert with the ILL, I there. Robert, appreciate you being here. Blueverine here. Appreciate you being here, Blueverine, with the wave. Hello, Blueverine. Glad to have you here. And that makes our comments so far. So, Dylan, let's get into this. We got jam-packed episode, man. We got a lot going on here, including the top 100 players in the NCAA football video game came out. There's 30 Big Ten players in the top 100, and there's multiple more that are 90 overall and more. I saw some teams with putting out how many players that were their top 3 on offense, top 3 on defense. Ton of players here for the Big Ten. Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs lead the way. If you're on podcast, I'm not going to read through every single name, but if you want to check it out, the list will be in the description section of that. I'll make sure to put that there. But Dylan, man, what's your thoughts here? You're an avid NCAA football video game player. Who you excited to play with? Anything you think they got right, got wrong here? What's your thoughts?
I mean, it's a solid list. Of course, there are no Purdue players. That's disappointing, but not a shocker. No, Jeremiah Smith being first just makes the utmost sense. That guy is a superhero. I don't know how he does what he does. I was at the Ohio State Iowa game undercover last season. I was in, I think it's C deck, and I had to climb all the way up to the top. I almost died twice. But seeing him catch one-handed OBJ style catch over an Iowa defender, I was like, this kid's legit. Like he's also like what, 15? Like, like he's young. He came back for another year, so good for Ohio State. Must be nice. He gives me Rondale Moore vibes. A little taller, a little bigger, wears the same number, but just as agile and just as quick. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good Big Ten presence here, and I just wish there was a little bit more gold and black. But I think it's a solid list. I think they did pretty well.
Oh, Rondale Moore would have been in the top 100 back in the day.
I would hope. I mean, if NCAA came out with the game 5 years ago, yeah, we may we may have a dusting in there, but not now.
I mean, if they had put out the NCAA football game in the Jeff Brom era of Purdue, I mean, Aiden O'Connell, Rondale Moore. I mean, there's a ton of guys in there.
Yeah, we would have had some ballers. Shout out AOC.
For sure. So some of the most represented teams here, Penn State has what looks like 5 guys in the top, in the 92 overall or higher. Katron Allen, Drew Aller, not necessarily in this order. Dennis Sutton, Nicholas Singleton, and Vega Ione. I apologize.
There are some wild names. I don't know how you do it.
There are some wild names. But those guys are in there. So Penn State leads the way. They also have AJ Harris, who's a 91 overall. So they have 6 guys overall in the top 100. I'm pretty sure Zane Durant I saw as a 90 overall. So he's right outside the top 100 as well. So Penn State really living up to things here. Minnesota sneaking 2 guys into the bottom of the top 100 there with Darius Taylor, Coy Parrish. Those guys are exciting. And Indiana with 3 guys in there. Now, Dylan, I know you're not going to say many nice things about Indiana, but I mean, little old Indiana getting 3 guys in the top 100. It's pretty impressive, is it not?
I mean, it is. I guess if you like subpar football and goose poop all over your stadium, then yeah, I guess I use your type of place. But I got a couple IU hot takes later on the show. That's what they call a teaser in the business. Look, listen.
Yeah, we our second segment, we're gonna have the bold prediction version of the show. You won't want to miss that. I know DK is gonna bring some hot takes.
I actually prepared for it. So I mean,
if you're preparing, we know we're gonna get something.
It's a big deal.
It is. It is. Seek says at the game undercover, trying to steal signs for the Boilermakers. Dylan, was that you?
No, it was not me. Even if I did, it wouldn't have worked. It just they would have had Saul Max Claire, and they're like, you know what? We'll take him. Like he's ours now. And no, I was not. That stealing signs would have done no good for my beloved Boilermakers.
I was gonna say, if you're trying to video up there from C deck, I mean,
and I was under the Purdue flag, and I went with some friends, and I said, "Did you all do this on purpose?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Well," and I did wear a red plain shirt. I didn't wear anything Purdue. I did the OHIO a few times. I will do that. Ever since then, Russ has accused me of being a closeted Ohio State fan, and he has never let me live it down. But that he's old. He's in bed right now, probably.
I was going to say, you've been on the Ohio State podcast more the past few months, and you've probably been on
my own podcast. So. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
Max says, more Indiana slander. I will not suffer even more nonsense on this stream. Don't worry, Max. Don't worry. I have, no, I don't really have one about Indiana. I guess one could be kind of about Indiana. I won't spoil it, but we'll let it go from there.
I have no nice things to say about Indiana.
I figured you wouldn't. Mike says, my man Coy Parrish about to put the nation on notice. Hey, Dylan, I think we got ourselves a little mini Travis Hunter here with Coy Parrish. Going to be playing both sides of the ball. Could be returning some punts as well. I mean, does the Big Ten need a Travis Hunter? They need Coy Parrish to be a Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah, I think that'd be good, a little PR for the Big Ten. I mean, even though the SEC is subpar nowadays and the Big Ten's kind of taken over, I mean, hey, why not?
I love it. I love it. You're really ingratiating yourself here on the podcast with the SEC slander, Dylan. We
hate them.
We definitely appreciate that. Any more thoughts or comments here on the top 100 players, Dylan, before we move on?
I mean, I'm trying to think of one Purdue guy could even squeak in there, and I can't come up with one. So I mean, that's
Evan
not.
Mockabee, you think he's close?
I mean, Mock. If anybody on the Purdue roster could make this list, it's got to be Mock. But
He's got some fumble issues.
he's got some fumble issues, and he's just on the team that doesn't get much publicity. So it's hard.
He's on the team.
He's on the team of this team of we'll see what they are. I don't even know what to expect, but God love him.
There. God love him. God love you, Dylan. We appreciate you getting through that segment. All right, some coaching drama, Dylan. I know this is where you're going to thrive. Okay, some coaching drama. We got Brett Bielema, Sonny Dykes, both firing off some comments about Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. So if you recall, back in the day, Brett Bielema had some things to say about Jim Harbaugh when he came out with essentially a speech as a San Francisco 49ers coach, I think back in the day, when he said something about, you never lie, never cheat, never steal, all that kind of stuff. And then Brett Bielema quoted it on Twitter, had some stuff to say himself. And so the media came in, or here's what he said. If you cheat to win, then you've already lost. Bielema had fun with that one, but hasn't spoken to Harbaugh since then or before, it says. So Bielema has now come out, and he told the media, being asked about, have you reconciled with Jim Harbaugh? He said, I have not talked to Jim. I never really had a problem with him, but it was just that moment, that scenario. Actually, his strength coach, Ben Herbert, when I got let go of Arkansas, Jim hired for 4 of my strength coaches to Michigan, and that's kind of when they made their turn. I got respect. I got love for his family, love his dad. They're good people. Are you buying the rekindled relationship here between Brett Bielema and Jim Harbaugh?
Absolutely not. There's no way. You got 2 really big personalities, and I don't think Bert is Jim Harbaugh to me is more like a used car salesman. He's very cliche. He's like in the PJ Fleck, like very gimmicky in some ways. Bert and I like Bert. I'm a Bert guy. Stature and all, love that guy. But I feel like he's more of a nose to the grindstone, get it done, shut up or put up, or so I don't think they've rekindled it. And I've not liked Jim Harbaugh for a long time, ever since he complained about the away locker room at Ross Aid. Buddy, like, what do you want from us? Like, he cried for a week about our away locker room, and we're not making. Show me a Big Ten locker room where it's comfortable. It's pink in Iowa. I'm sure others aren't that great. And he was mad they had to like ride in a ambulance to the hospital. Where else is there ever show me a stadium where the hospital's built into the stadium? Harbaugh is always complaining, and he's always he acts like he's this squeaky clean, never did anything wrong guy, when we know darn well that him and his sideline sunglasses wearing buddies broke a few of those rules. So I'm Team Bert. I've always been Team Bert, and I always will be Team Bert.
So you think Jim Harbaugh knew about the cheating?
If he didn't, then what is he doing? Like, how are you the head coach of a major football program in the country, and you just don't know that's happening? That's nonsense.
I mean, yeah, I tend to agree. I try to toe the line a little bit to not seem, you know me, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I'm trying to remain non-biased, so I try to toe the line a little bit. But, gun to my head, Jim Harbaugh knew. I feel like he did. I don't really know how you can say he didn't, but, I'll entertain it, I guess, and go from there. But, yeah, I mean, to me, this is Brett saving face. Bert is a smart guy in the social media realm. He's going to get his message out there. But if you ask him about it, he's gonna say the right thing. He's gonna say the smart thing, and he's not gonna get into it too much, especially with Harbaugh gone now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's gloves are off when Harbaugh left. That's another thing. Like, Harbaugh to me showed his guilt when he was like, "All right, I'm out. I'm getting out of here before it gets too hot." And Bert, I don't know. I'm a fan of Bert. They got to ever build a statue for that man in Illinois. It's gonna be at the big old statue. I mean, it's just gonna need to be quite large in stature. I haven't seen him in person. Well, no, I have, just from afar at Ross Aid. But man is just a behemoth of a gentleman. But if you give me Bert or Jim Harbaugh, I'm going Bert 10 out of 10 times.
Bert would never complain about a locker room, right?
No, he gets it. He's like, it's gritty. It's a Big Ten. We're not going to give you, leather seats and 60-inch televisions in the away locker room. Why would we make you comfortable? Get out of here,
Mm-hmm.
Jim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Great
we've
point.
had renovations since then, so I don't know what the away locker room's like now, but I'd assume it's a little better.
Well, and also too, how can you not enjoy the drum, right? I mean,
Right.
maybe your locker room isn't great, but you watch that drum rolling out there. I mean, who doesn't love a
And
good drum?
while we're on the topic of drums, I know Texas has a drum and Missouri has a drum, but they're so big. They're on like ours are pulled by men and women of the band. There, it is manually taken across campus in the stadium. It is not on a trailer. It is not on a. It's usable. It's part of. It's legitimately part of the band. It just makes sounds unlike the other ones. So I get a lot of that from Missouri fans. That I talk to Missouri fans all the time. Or Texas people apparently have popped up in my mentions last year. Like our drum's bigger. Whatever, dude. Like it's not a real drum. It's just a round piece of wood with something on it. Get out of here. We have the real world's largest drum.
There you go,
There's
and it's pulled by people too,
right. Like
right?
they came to
Yeah.
my hometown like 20 years ago, and they were pulling it up the steepest hill in my town. And I have photos. My dad took them. And they are like red faced and about ready to pass out. But damn it, they got it up that hill. No
They got
trailer,
it.
no nothing pulling it, but human strength. And those band members, I forget what they're called. I should know that. But they work out with the football team. Like they're not your
Oh,
average, trumpet playing band people. They lift. They hit the gym, bro. Leg day, they don't skip it.
or you could say the football players are regular band. Never mind. We won't get into that. We won't get into that. Max does say about Jim Harbaugh. He says he does do a lot with charity and work to donate a lot of money. Coach wise, may not be the best, but outside of football, seems like a good guy. Yes. Thank you, Max. I would do not want to misconstrue this as me saying, personally, Jim Harbaugh, not a great guy or anything like that. He has done a lot for charity and stuff, and so thank you for that clarification, Max. And I will, second your sentiment there. Jim Harbaugh outside of football does seem like a good guy. And I don't even know if he seems like a bad guy in football. It's just he's had controversy around him. So this is Big Ten football. We're gonna we're gonna razz the rival coaches a little bit. It is what it is. So all right, Sonny Dykes on the other hand, he had some stricter stuff to say. So essentially, Sonny Dykes was asked about the whole situation, and in my opinion, Sonny Dykes is one of the only people that can actually talk about this and not look like a whiny loser, right? Like if Ryan Day came out and started talking about the Michigan cheating scandal and stuff like that. He just looked like a whiny loser, and it'd be one more opportunity for Michigan fans to say, "Oh, what a baby, cry, 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 wah, wah, wah." But Sonny Dykes, he's one of the guys that actually beat him, right? In the those days when they had their amazing run from 2021 to 2023, and they won the national championship there. He came out and said, talking a little bit more about the whole situation, kind of felt like he was talking for some other coaches too. He said, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, you're not. You're just now seeing the Michigan thing come down, and it's really none of my business. I don't know anything about it, but that was a long time ago. And the person that was responsible for that, or most of that, isn't there anymore. And so, do you punish the people that are there? Do you punish the young people that had nothing to do with it? I mean, that's the problem you run into, Dyke said. And so it's a complicated thing. It's not an easy fix, but you have to do something. You know what I mean. Dylan, I do not envy the NCAA here. It's actually one of the reasons why I feel like it's good that the NCAA is getting away from this stuff. They're going to go to like the College Sports Commission to do more of some of the other punishments and things like that, especially in this scenario. The NCAA needs to be focused on stuff like this to get it done as quickly as possible. That way, the people that were actually responsible for it, if they are guilty, they can be punished instead of punishing players and coaches later on that had nothing to do with it. Do you agree with Sonny Dykes that it's an interesting situation and you don't really know what to do with it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, I'm not jealous of the decision makers there. When you think about punishment, he's right. Like punishing the team now, these are a bunch of kids and coaches. Well, maybe there's a few coaches, as we know, Sharon Moore is still there, that had nothing to do with that era of Michigan football. So it is unfair. And I remember saying the same thing back in the day in the Penn State or whatever other, like when you take this long to hand down punishment to a school that it happened an entire 4-year class ago, like what can you do? Like what is the answer? And of course, you can punish the individual coaches that you find were guilty in the investigations, and then they could be at 20 different other schools, and you've got to punish them, and that means it punishes schools that had absolutely nothing to do with anything Michigan. So it's definitely a tricky situation, but I agree in the sense of like punishing the Michigan players now is a little unfair, but it's a tough rope, and I'm not jealous that I'm one of the decision makers, because that's got to be tough. But when you look at it, Sharon Moore's still around. He's still the boss man, and he was there during the whole spiel. And there's not much you can do to Connor Stallions. I'm pretty sure he's in the high school now and he's not doing great. Like there's not much you can do to him. It's tough. And like you said, I'm not jealous of those decision makers, but then I might, my questions are like, why is it taking so long? Like, I feel like anytime the NCAA gets the opportunity to lay down their law, they will do it. You got kids they've punished for pre-NIL for making YouTube videos, and they're like, bah, no way, can't do it, not happening. But as soon as a team's so far right now allegedly cheating, they're like, we're gonna tiptoe this one. I don't get their reasoning behind that when they're picking on kids trying to make a couple extra bucks before pre-NIL, but something as big as one of the conference blue bloods cheating, and they're like, oh, we've got to really walk on eggshells here. That part I haven't understood during the whole process.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Billy Tuesday makes a great point. He says cheating punished the innocent players on the other teams as well. And I think that's what Sonny Dykes was getting to, right? He's like, you got to do something. You can't just not do anything. And then later on, he says, you don't want the adage of if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying to essentially being alive in the game. And I mean, this is just what it comes down to when it's this late. There was a punishment. I mean, this punishment gets forgotten sometimes, but there was a punishment for Jim Harbaugh. He did have to miss 3 additional games during that season, the final 3 games of the season, which were arguably the most challenging games of the season. But that did come from the Big Ten. That was not from the NCAA in that situation. So again, that's just like that's the whole thing of it, that it's like what do you do here? It's so late. These guys are gone. And while I do agree with Seek here, like the kids signed up for the team knowing, maybe not knowing exactly what was coming, but knowing that there was a sticky situation, and there's also the portal option. I think if anything, the portal option today changes this stuff more than pretty much ever. I mean, I reflect back on Ohio State with the tattoo gate and stuff like that. That Ohio State team could have won. Maybe they probably wouldn't have. We'll see. I mean, we'll never know. But that Ohio State team could have won a national championship, but they got a bowl ban, and everybody blames Gene Smith because he didn't self-impose a bowl ban the year before. I think he probably should have done it, but at the end of the day, those guys had to suffer through that season, and there was no portal option for them then.
Yeah.
Now there would be a portal option for players if you can't play and go to the postseason, then you portal out and go someplace else. So at the end of the day, there's just really no good option here. You would hope to deal with this during the season, but at the end of the day, there's nothing really you can do here. You can try to punish them, and it's like what Zach and I have been saying the entire time. Like, even if you vacate the wins, what's that do? They still won it. You still lived through it. I know there's some people that say, well, it helps in the principle of things. I guess, but nobody's gonna look back and be like, oh yeah, big X mark on that, because
I will say they have to take away their 22 Big Ten championship, so then Purdue can be considered Big Ten champions. And I'm not ashamed of that. I've had people in my Twitter mentions be like, "Oh, you couldn't claim that." The hell I can, and I will. I will hang the banner wherever it needs to be hung. I was at the game. If they vacate any win, it's the 2022 Big Ten championship. We're like, Purdue gave them a game. It wasn't like we got blown out. But they do need to vacate that so I can claim that Purdue's 2022 Big Ten champions.
That's what really needs to happen. We just need to
Yeah.
give Purdue the 2022 Big Ten championship. Make Sharon Moore personally ship it. No, personally drive it to Purdue. It's
Yeah.
not that far. He can
I like,
personally drive it.
yeah, that's a quick drive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd head up to West Lafayette and get pictures for that
Oh,
day if he has
let's
to.
have a parade. Let's bring back those guys that were
Bring
playing
out the
then.
drum. Bring out the
Hell,
drum.
yeah, have Brom come out and visit for a little bit. Like I'm all for it. Unlike a lot of Purdue fans, I still love Jeff Brom. I root for Louisville or
Yeah.
Louisville. I get Frank and Russ give me hell all the time for how I pronounce Louisville. But no, bring back Jeff. Let's have let's have some fun. Let's raise a banner. Let's the whole 9 yards. Why not?
Dave's here, and Dave always has insightful takes in the comments. Dave, we appreciate you being here. He says, "Huge fine, get ready for it." I mean, this is probably what you're gonna see. You might see a vacation of some wins, maybe, but again, I don't know if that's really the biggest thing in the world. Scholarship reductions, okay, maybe, but there might be a one season postseason ban. That is probably the most I could see coming from this. One, if that, and even if that happens, I don't, yes, it's a bad thing. You don't want that, but it's not. Like, I don't think Michigan's winning the national championship this year. They can go to the playoffs, but I don't think they're winning the national championship this year. So I don't think it would be the biggest blow in the world. Maybe I'm sleeping on Michigan. If I am, sorry, but there is the possibility. Could a fine impact revenue sharing, Dylan? I mean, that is a thing that could make a bigger difference nowadays than it ever has before. I know I'm
Yeah.
kind of putting you on the spot with this, but do you think a fine could impact revenue sharing for Michigan?
I think right now in the era that we're in college football where money is king, if you hit them in the pockets, that's probably the biggest blow they you can give them is, take away certain money from the TV money or NIL, whatever. I don't know if legally they can touch their NIL. I don't know how. I'm not an attorney. I don't know. But yeah, I think in today's world where money runs the roost of college football, that if you hit them in the pocket, that's kind of the biggest blow you could probably give them without doing anything bowl bans or on the field suspensions or anything like that. It'd be punch them in the wallet.
Get him in the wallet.
Yeah, just dip
By the
your
way,
hands right
Dylan,
in there.
where do you keep your wallet in your pants? What pocket?
So
Back right, front right?
I recently bought I think it's called a Ridge wallet. It's like a little metal one, and
Mm-hmm.
I keep it in the little small pocket above the right
Oh.
hand pocket, because I used to be the guy who had the Bible thick wallet, and I'd sit on
Mm-hmm.
it and be like, why does my back hurt? And then I finally, got smart and bought. No, I think I got it for Christmas from my mother. Shout out to Deb. This little tiny wallet, and I keep it right there, and it's perfect. It's got a money clip. I can fit my ID, my debit, credit cards, everything and anything in there, and I don't have to sit on anything. It's
There you
pretty
go.
clutch. What?
Does it have an Apple Tag spot for it?
No, I need one.
Yeah, my wife
I
got me one
lose.
with an Apple AirTag, and it's been the best thing ever.
I need that. I put one on my keys because I misplace my keys all the time, and specifically in the classroom. And last year I had a fun game with my students that was, hey, find Mr. Dillon's keys because I laid them somewhere and I have no idea where I put them. And we have a whole point system. And I said, like, whoever finds it, I'll give you 100 points. And they're like, we gotta find them. And they found them. It was pretty clutch. When you have 25 third graders who want to find a set of keys, they'll find them.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's get on to our last topic here. Dylan, Wisconsin is filing a tampering lawsuit against Miami over Xavier Lucas. Now, if we're being very particular here, they do not actually have a player named in this whole lawsuit, so we don't actually know for sure, but everybody is assuming, which I think it's a pretty safe assumption, it's the Xavier Lucas situation. If you're not caught up on this, Xavier Lucas was a cornerback for Wisconsin last year, and he played rather well as a true freshman. They were very excited for him to come back. He apparently, according to Wisconsin, we don't know this for sure, but according to Wisconsin, signed a contract to come back for next season. After signing that contract, wanted to be put into the transfer portal so that way he could begin, quote unquote, begin talking to other schools. He was denied that by Wisconsin. Miami will argue that they had no basis or no reason to deny him of that. I've not really seen a legal one either, but at the end of the day, they did that. The NCAA hasn't done anything to Wisconsin. The NCAA hasn't done anything to Miami. As we know, the NCAA kind of stays out of this stuff, and so the Wisconsin has filed a lawsuit, and the Big Ten is backing Wisconsin in this situation. And would not be surprised if the ACC gets involved to some extent here, but that's kind of the gist of everything that's going on. I don't think I missed anything there. Dylan, what are your thoughts on all of this? I mean, is this good for Wisconsin? Good for the Big Ten? You think it's bad? I mean, it's ugly, that's for sure. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's uncharted territory. This is brand new stuff via the NIL. College kids signing contracts. How legally obligated are these kids to fulfill these contracts? What no one's walked these paths before. This is uncharted territory, like I said. But I don't know, man. It's interesting that Wisconsin decided to file a lawsuit. It's definitely not great publicity, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad publicity.
It's better than suing the player, though, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, to sue the institution instead of the players is a better move than the other way around. I'm interested to see how it's going to work out. I'm going to follow this fairly closely, as I think any college football fan should, because this is nothing we've ever seen before. It's hard to say which way they'll go, and like you said, the NCAA is staying out of it's interesting. It's just it makes you wonder, when signing a contract with the college team as this kid's a freshman, right? So 18, 19, like what did he have an attorney present when signing? I'm sure Wisconsin, they have a boatload of attorneys, I'm sure, but there's a bunch of little details that need to be brought up, and it's going to be very interesting. And with that being said, I hope that Miami and Wisconsin play each other next year, as like the courtroom battle or whatever the way I want to call it. Like there's got to, winner of the lawsuit gets home field advantage. There's got to be something.
They should actually just have the two law schools handle it. Like those two
Yeah,
law schools have to battle it out and see
couple of
which
the
one's
Ivy
better.
Leagues. Yeah, get Harvard and
Dorian
Yale in there.
Dorian did just repost the stream on Twitter. Dorian, we appreciate you doing that. If anybody else is watching on Twitter, or if you're watching on YouTube and you have the ability to go repost that, we would greatly appreciate it if you would do that. Thank you, Dorian, for doing that. And if anybody else would do that, we would greatly appreciate it. Yeah. So I gotta be honest, like I don't see a whole lot of bad stuff happening for Wisconsin here. I guess there is the opportunity that Miami has to possibly countersue here because Wisconsin didn't put Xavier Lucas in the portal within the 5-day period when he made himself do that. I know that the attorney for Miami, Darren Heitner, I think is how you pronounce his name, he is very much so on Xavier Lucas' side and says that Xavier Lucas didn't do anything wrong. I don't even know if Xavier Lucas did anything wrong. I mean, obviously he signed the contract if what Wisconsin is saying is true, but it sounds like Miami was talking to him beforehand. Now, I will say, I think Miami has done this before. I don't think this was their first rodeo. So, trying to get them to actually be to blame here is going to be incredibly difficult by Wisconsin. But if nothing else, I think this does set a precedent by Wisconsin that you are not going to come and mess with Wisconsin players lightly, and we will take it lightly. Like this is something we're going to take very seriously, and if you're going to do it, you better do it the right way. Otherwise, we will take you to court and make you pay for it if we can. It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot more here other than just financial stuff they can get from Miami because of the contract and stuff. But at the end of the day, this is what Zach and I were talking about, right? The NCAA is sitting on their hands. They're not doing anything. And so the schools are eventually going to take this into their own hands. And lo and behold, Big Ten is backing Wisconsin. The conferences are going to do it as well. So I think it's good for Wisconsin because they're showing a precedent of you're not going to mess with us. And B, I think it's good for the Big Ten because the Big Ten is showing that they are supporting their schools. There's a lot of people that want the Big Ten to be more vocal out there to the media and stuff like that. I know this isn't exactly the same thing, but this is the Big Ten saying, look, we're not going to stand for crap like this. If you're going to do this, there is the opportunity you're going to have to possibly get in some trouble here. We'll see what happens. Xavier Lucas is from Florida, so I think there are probably some back channel conversations, as I explained on a previous video before, kind of how those back channel conversations happen. I'm sure that kind of stuff did happen, but the fact that his attorney is like a Miami NIL professor or something like that and everything else, it does look really sketchy. I don't think anything will really come of this out of the lawsuit, but there will be a precedent set, which I think overall is good for Wisconsin and the Big Ten.
I think Ohio State's contact with Max Clare should be investigated. How dare
Hey,
you?
if you're a Minnesota fan, you're saying the same thing about Philip Daniels. And I said this when all this stuff happened. I said this: if you think your team is not doing this, you are fibbing yourself. Like
Yep.
you are just completely out of your mind. Every team in college football is tampering right now. I mean, Wisconsin just got hit with recruiting violations.
Yeah,
right
it's
before
happened
this.
for years, but pre-NIL. Like, if you're acting like these people are like, well, my school never paid players. Shut up. They did too. Like, they absolutely did. Like, it's, I don't know, the when they put in cover their eyes like nothing ever happened pre-NIL, like, it's a wild, wild west. Buddy, it hasn't been like this level of wild, wild west, but it definitely wasn't as pure and as honorable as people would say or pre-NIL college sports were. But you're right. Quit saying your team doesn't cheat, because they all do.
They all do it. Bobby Max says, JR, doesn't a school have to give permission to enter the transfer portal once they have signed? So the team does need to release the player within 5 days of them giving the appropriate paperwork and everything to their school. The problem here is that Wisconsin did not do that. I don't know if now maybe there's something I don't know that they did, so I'm just gonna plead ignorance here, but it's possible that something happened that Wisconsin felt like they didn't have to let him into the portal, but for whatever reason, they didn't let him in, and Miami is saying that they are going to countersue for that. I don't think they're actually going to do that, but that's what some of their fans, want them to do. Dave's here says, how did Wisconsin have a contract with a player before that was legal in the NCAA? So the way I understand it, it was a financial agreement of revenue sharing. So, Wisconsin fans, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but the way I had it described to me by another Wisconsin fan was that there was apparently an agreement of revenue sharing that Xavier Lucas would begin receiving once the revenue sharing became legal in college football. It was signed, maybe not exactly like a contract, but similar to a contract. So that's kind of what is being got at here. And there was money that exchanged hands in this situation for that to happen. Wisconsin is seeking for that money to be given back to the university and some because Miami was tampering. Forgive me, I'm not explaining all of this completely the same because I did go over a lot of this in other videos back when everything was happening. So I do need to make sure I catch people up on it. So thank you for asking these good questions, guys. Let's see. Dave, super chat. Dave, $5. Appreciate you being here, Dave, and appreciate the $5. If Wisconsin loses the lawsuit, Miami should make them forfeit their 14-game winning streak against Minnesota, the original U. I mean, Minnesota benefits just like Purdue would benefit if Michigan loses their 2022 Big Ten championship. I'm all for rooting for the other team's downfall to give your team some upfall, right, Dylan?
I'm with you, Dave. We'll have parades together. The Golden Gophers and the Golden Boilermakers will party together at the fall of those turds up north.
You gonna meet in the middle someplace?
Yeah, we'll somehow
Chicago?
we'll meet in Chicago. Oh, I love Chicago. Any reason to go to Chicago, I'll go to Chicago. I'll see you there, Dave.
There you go. There you go. Joe says Wisconsin willfully tried to obstruct Xavier from the transfer portal. Because of this, it was the Big Ten. It was the one the Big Ten should be backing. Yeah, I mean, they tried to obstruct it. Again, I don't know if there was, or he clarifies down here. Sorry. Joe says Big Ten should not be backing this one since Wisconsin willfully obstructed Xavier from entering the transfer portal. That is the thing of it. Like, I don't think Wisconsin would be stupid enough to. Yeah, no, I appreciate it for the correction there, Joe. I don't think Wisconsin would be stupid enough to sue if they were the ones in the wrong here. Like, there has to be something behind the scenes that Wisconsin knows. We didn't let him into the transfer portal because he didn't do this. Xavier Lucas and his lawyer are claiming that they did everything the correct way to get into the transfer portal. Right now, it's just a claim. We don't know. We haven't seen the paperwork. We have no idea. I would assume they're correct because I don't know anything other, but at the same time, I also just don't know for sure. So it's going to have to go to court, and if it does go to discovery, oh boy, I'll be paying attention to this one a lot because
I hope that's on court
discovery for
TV.
tampering, that would
Can we
be
have
really
a live
interesting.
reaction where we watch the stream of the court if there is one? Just
We did a Big Ten. We did an NFL draft live stream. So yeah, we'll have to do a Xavier Lucas, Wisconsin, Miami lawsuit.
we'll
stream
get
as well.
robes, like judge robes, and we'll have gavels. We'll be ready, dude. Sign me up.
There we go. We'll just make you the honorary person for the live streams watching stuff with us, Dylan. How's that sound?
Sign me up. I love that stuff. The OHIO pod has me on for no reason at all for their watch along live streams. Well, the one was Indiana where I just bashed IU for 2 hours, but that's what I do.
Well, and Ohio State fans would like that when they're playing against IU.
Exactly.
So there you go. All right. Anything else on the Wisconsin situation you want to get off your chest, Dylan?
No, I think Wisconsin's doing. It's a good idea that Wisconsin's doing this because, like you said, they're telling the world, like, hey, we're not going to mess around. If you try to pick up one of our players, we'll see you in court. Like, you better double think it. You better think about it before you do it. So it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Yes, it'll be very interesting. Dave's here says, has it been filed in actual court, or is it quote unquote going to be filed? Everything I've read has said that it has been filed. They have filed a tampering lawsuit against the University of Miami. Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports reported. So by every indication, it has been filed, which is also interesting. So, all right. Hey, so this is the end of segment 1. We appreciate you being here. If you're on the podcast version, we're going to get out of here. If you're on the YouTube version, stick around. We're going to play the intro for the next episode, and then we'll start doing our bold predictions. I know Dylan's ready for that. We each got 5 for you, so 10 total bold predictions. Going to be awesome. Dylan, before we do get out of here after the first segment, for the people on podcast, tell them where they can find yourself when the Boiler Express podcast starts podcasting again.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at DK Saying Things, artist formerly known as at Dylan Kuhn _. My current profession had to go a little undercover. So it is now at DK Saying Things, which I do a lot. I say a lot of things. And then you can find us at the Boiler Express podcast at Boiler Express _. Life has happened for a lot of the guys here at the Boiler Express podcast. One had twins. One got a new job where he's traveling willy-nilly. And then, there's me who is kidless and wifeless and is like, hey, guys, okay, let's do a show. I'm bored. Hurry up. What are we doing? Forget about the kids for an hour. Let's do a podcast. So you can find us there. Hopefully we fire up the old microphone sooner than later. And you join me on Twitter. That's where I'm at the most.
You should just start live streaming yourself on like Wednesday nights just by yourself while you're sitting on your couch or something.
Just hanging out.
Like, here's what it is.
What's going on in Purdue world? Whole lot of nothing.
All right. Hey, we appreciate everybody for listening on podcast. Like I said, if you're on YouTube, stick with us. We're going to watch the intro for the next episode, and then we'll get to the episode. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm JR, and with my guy, Dylan, from the Boiler Express. And today we're firing up our bold predictions for the 2025 season for Big Ten football. We're dropping 5 bold predictions each that could flip the conference upside down. We're talking about Wisconsin, Washington, coaches getting fired, and so much more. We'll break down why these could go down and answer your fan questions as well. Get your bold predictions in the chat, or if you're on podcast, email, comment your bold predictions. Would love to hear what you have to say. This is the Big Ten Huddle, where we bring you the heat and the fun and the insightful analysis on every single Big Ten team, celebrating the pulse of Big Ten football. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your bold predictions in the comments as well. If you're listening on podcast, give us that 5-star review. It takes you 2 seconds. Just scroll on down, hit the 5 stars, helps us out, helps us grow. we would greatly appreciate it. Catch our daily episodes Monday through Friday by 9 a.m. or join our live YouTube shows Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. to hop into the chat and contribute to the episode. Follow us on Twitter/X and Instagram at the Big Ten Huddle for more fun, rankings, discussion, all those things. We'd love to have you over there. Thanks for rolling with us. Let's dive into these bold predictions. Bold predictions. We brought on the boldest guy we know for this. That is one Dylan Kuhn, DK of the Boiler Express podcast. Dylan, let's preface this first, okay? These are bold predictions. These are not, predictions we're making outright. These are things that people are not expecting to happen, could happen, but people are not necessarily expecting to happen. And we're not necessarily predicting they will happen, but we're saying there is a good possibility it could happen. Did I describe that correctly?
Yeah, if anybody takes what I say seriously in the first place, that's on them. I can come in with some facts. I can be a professional sometimes, as I feel like I was pretty professional in the first segment. But the gloves are off now, and we're gonna get a little crazy. So let me preface by saying an asterisk: don't take what I say seriously. If you do, that's on you.
There you go. He said it, and it's true because he said it. So just get ready for it. All right, Dylan, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, so 5 bold predictions, 5 from me, 5 from Dylan. We'll let Dylan go first. Dylan, what is your number 1 bold prediction?
Last year, we'll preface, the SIG was hot. The SIG was burning, and the SIG was burning quick. But now, as your man did, Howard, we're going to stomp it out. We're going to twist our foot, and we're going to let the smoke settle. Indiana football is going to not be good. They're not going to have the year that I think their fans all of a sudden think they're the Patriots or they're up there with the Buckeyes or whoever else. They're not. And Cignetti is going to have a rough year. You talk about they got Illinois, Iowa, and Oregon back to back to back. That's tough. And when you look at it compared to their schedule last year, it was a cakewalk for them. I mean, listen, did they have a great year? Sure. Did they have good? Yeah, they did great. Fine. Sure. Great. Whatever. But I think their honeymoon phase of the SIG era is going to be it's going to run out and they're not going to have fun. And SIG's going to burn out real quick. Their schedule is brutal. I think, West Kansas Tech of the blind had a rougher schedule than what IU had last year. So will I be happy to see IU's downfall? Yes.
West Kansas Tech of the blind didn't even see it coming.
No, they did not. They did not see it coming. They didn't even know what to do.
They had no idea. Yeah. They had no idea.
Yes,
I gotta be honest.
You should Google that. Google that, please.
Dylan, I think this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast and somebody comes in with a bold prediction and they say Indiana football will not be good.
Right?
That is.
Listen, that's wild. That's a bold take to begin with. And I'm not saying it's a scolding hot, holy crap take, but I just wanted to throw out there that when Indiana is bad at football again, that I can clip this and be like, well, said it, told you, should have listened.
There you go. I'm all for it. I'm all for clipping it. Seek wants to know how many losses will Indiana have? You got a number here?
I don't have a number, but it's.
Normally your number's a billion. So
I could see them going like a 6-6 and making a Pop-Tart Bowl or something. But I think Indiana, I unfortunately have to be around IU fans a lot just because they're in my mentions because they're thinking about Purdue all the time. But they think they're going to go back to the playoffs this year. They think that they're going to be top of the Big Ten. It's going to be interesting. But I hate to burst their bubble. IU is going to be bad again, and their stadium's going to be empty. Have you ever been to Memorial Stadium?
I have, yes.
Is it not a bad stadium? It's a bad stadium.
It doesn't have a whole lot of unique features to it. I won't say it's a bad stadium, but there's not a whole lot that I look at it and say that screams Indiana football to me. There is the really nice area. I think it's on the north side of the end zone. The north end zone was a really nice area there. They've done a good job with that, but it's not a unique thing. Like
You mean
that
they
is
went to
something that
Home
is.
Depot and bought 10 of the same patio sets and said, "Hey, here are some suites. Pay us a couple grand to sit there." Like listen, Purdue has actually like Ross-Ade Stadium isn't, you know, AT&T Stadium. It's and you ask Eric from the from the OHIO pod, same with Chris and myself. Purdue Stadium was not built with people our size in mind. It's a tight squeeze. All right, the seats are very small. I have one somewhere. I don't know if I should show that because I don't know if I should have that, but I do have a seat from Purdue from Ross-Ade Stadium from the renovations. So like I'm not sitting here and be like Ross-Ade Stadium, but since the renovations, Ross-Ade has really turned around from the beer tent we had in the south end zone for a few years. But no, the steep walls around the field, it's just concrete everywhere. There's nothing. It's called Memorial Stadium with the 37 other Memorial Stadiums in college football. Like you can't find one person. At this point, I'm surprised they haven't named it Sig Stadium yet or the
They
Ashtray.
should. They should just put a big cigarette in the middle of the field. That'd be
Just
awesome.
call it the Ashtray, and it would be understandable. I wouldn't hate on him for it.
Now, I will say, Dylan, all right, we can't go too down on Memorial Stadium though, because have I ever told you my story about when I got box seats there?
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
my no, it was fantastic. I didn't have to sit in the tiny seats. Because guess what? Ross-Ade is not unique in that everybody has tiny seats, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy for people with bigger bottoms. So, but no. So me and my father-in-law, he I won't say what he does for a living or anything, but he knew somebody that is very high up at IU, and he was talking to them one day, and there was a game. I forget who it was against. It was maybe Virginia, I think it was. This was back in like 2019 or something like that. This was years ago. Maybe yeah, 2019, years ago. And so it was a game that he had seats to from somebody who was really high up. He didn't really know all that much about where the seats were. The guy just told him, "Yeah, ask one of the people in the suits where to go." And so my father-in-law was like, "Oh, okay, all right." So the game was terrible weather. I mean, it was pouring down rain, it was cold, it was wet. I mean, it was terrible environment. But you know me, I'm never one to say no to college football. So both his sons say no. His daughter says no, and he finally comes to me and he's like, "Hey, I guess I'll take the stupid son-in-law." And he didn't say that, but I guess I'll take the son-in-law so that way I have somebody to go with me. I go with him. We're in ponchos, man. I mean, we're drenched wet because we just walked a mile to get to the stadium. And I'm like, "So where are our seats at?" He said, "I don't know. He just told me to ask one of the guys in the suits." And I said, "Okay." So we go up to one of the guys in the suits and we say, "Hey, do you know where to go to get to our seats?" And the guy in the suit, I kid you not, looked at the ticket or like the name badge, looked at us, kind of shook his head, and he was like, "Where did you guys get these from?" And we said, "Well, it's this guy. He knows, he knows him, and he let us use the tickets." And so he kind of chuckled and he said, "Yeah, go to the elevator over there." And we said, "Okay." He said, "Don't bother waiting in line. Just go to the head of the line."
Dang.
Okay. And so we went up to the head of the line and gave the other guy in the suit our name badges, and he said, "Yep, right this way. Elevator to ourselves, Dylan. Elevator to ourselves,
Dang.
up to the box suite that was just us all by ourselves.
Man.
Unlimited food, buffet, fountain drinks. I mean, we had like a personal, person that was like adhering to us the entire time. Tables. I mean, there were and it was all for us. There was nobody else in there. It was all for us. It was pretty fantastic.
That is what. Now they're in both end zones. There's none on the.
So this was up above the media box. So like
Oh, I
the
got you.
people that were getting into the elevator were the media. So we thought,
Dang.
"Oh, okay, we're like gonna go sit with the media or something like that." And they open an
Back
elevator
then, what
that's
media went to IU football games?
well, Dylan, I'm trying to
There's
say nice things here. Okay,
I can't go. I can't let you give IU too much credit. I
it's
just
okay.
can't. I can't let it happen.
I get it. I get it. All right. Anyway, that was my really long story. So we better get on with the bold predictions now. Dylan, I am more positive than you with my bold predictions. Wisconsin wins 7 games.
Ooh.
Now, you might be like, "Well, Wisconsin has won 7 games multiple times before." Go look at Wisconsin's schedule. Alabama, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. That's a crazy
That's a
schedule for them.
stupid schedule. Who did
Yeah,
that?
really, they're only gimme games, and I would even hesitate to call one of these a gimme game because Maryland could be better this year, but we'll see. It's Miami of Ohio, Middle Tennessee, and Miami, or not Miami, sorry, Maryland. Maryland. That
Listen,
would be
Miami of
something if
Ohio's
they
in
played
my
Miami.
the Red Hawks are in my backyard. Okay. I they're my favorite MAC school because they're half an hour away from my house. Their hockey program stinks, but I still love going to games. I am a big go Red Hawks. I'm maybe finishing my teaching degree there. Don't know, but I love the Red Hawks.
Hmm. Hey, they might get the win, and if they do, I highly doubt Wisconsin wins 7 games. So I'm crossing my fingers. My bold prediction is correct. So
I love
Wisconsin, don't
Maction.
screw it up. Give me 7 games here. They really only have 3 gimmies here, but we'll see if Luke Fickell getting rid of Phil Longo can get them to 7 games.
I like it.
All right, Dylan, what's your second bold prediction?
So I kind of have a 2-in-1 type of a situation. I think this year, and I don't think this is a very hot take, but I think this year is a Ohio State revenge tour. They on the way to beating Michigan by double digits, which I believe they will do. I hope they spike the flag in the middle of the field. That'd be awesome. But I think Ohio State's gonna just kill everybody because they're all 7 different ways pissed off at the world, even after coming off a national title. Just that's how much obviously the rivalry of Michigan means to them. But here's my but: they come to Purdue, and we all know that Ohio State, and we're not going to talk about last year, okay? But Ohio State has a history of coming to Purdue, and let's hope it's a night game. If this is a noon kickoff, I take back everything I said. But if it's a night game, listen, baby, the Boilers take care of business playing at Ohio, not really at Ohio State. The closest game I've been to at the Shoe and Purdue played there was 2003. Shout out to my guy Stu Schweiger, had a clutch interception, but lost by a game-winning field goal. And I was there as I don't know how old I was, but yeah. So we don't do well in Columbus. However, I do believe that Ohio State comes to Purdue, and instead of being a 1 seed or a 2 seed, we mess up their playoff seeding a little bit, and we take home a big win against the Buckeyes. And I will rush the field, and I will be so happy and
Just
hated
you by yourself.
just me rushing the field.
Hang on the drum.
Listen, I said this at multiple times in the OHIO pod. I've been, let's see, 2009, we beat Ohio State against with Terrell Pryor. Ryan Kerrigan had him in a headlock the entire game. You go to 2011, was there for that one. I believe that was Robert Marv. Shout out to Rob Marv. Pretty sure he's in jail. Last I heard about him. But a game-winning touchdown. And then, of course, 2018. I've had a pretty good run of rushing the field against the Buckeyes. And I would love to do it again. And I know my cohort, Russ, likes to accuse me of being a closet Ohio State fan. And there are people on the internet that say I give Ohio State too much credit. I used to despise Ohio State with every bone in my body. I used to hate the Buckeyes. I grew up in Ohio. I still live in Ohio. I live in Dayton. A lot of Ohio State people, 99% of them didn't attend Ohio State, but they sure do love the Buckeyes. So I've always hated them. Now I met Eric, I met you, I met even Wildman, who I'll give a little credit. And I was like, you know what? Ohio State fans aren't that bad. Maybe I should give them a little bit more credit. And I have, and I've gone to games as a neutral fan of sorts, even though I've sung on the Hang On Sloopy and all that. But I believe that, Urban Meyer lost to Purdue. Jim Tressel lost to Purdue. Who was the one before Tress? Cooper lost to Purdue. A lot of them. So, Ryan Day's due. All right. Hair dyed beard is due for a loss in West Lafayette. And I believe that happens this year, and I will be happily rushing the field.
We should have had Ryan Day's wife on this podcast. She'd come after you, like she came after what's his name.
You
Clay
cannot
Travis.
tell me that man. I don't mind Ryan Day, but buddy, you do not have that dark hair of a beard. Even me, I'm 29, couple gray hairs. You can't really see it. Camera's not that good, but you can't tell me that man has a jet black beard. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Maybe he just has the genes for it. Who knows?
I mean, could be.
Steve says Max Clare 4 touchdowns against Purdue. That'd be something. Max Clare gets 4 touchdowns and Purdue still wins. Who's the Rondale Moore that you're hiding on your team to make that happen?
Shh, I don't want to say. I don't want to give Ohio State. I know Ryan Day's watching.
Yes, he is. He is. He watches every episode. In fact, Kirk Cinetti did use one of our graphics the other day on Twitter. So
did he really?
He did.
The SIG is tuning into the Big Ten Huddle. I love it.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope you see this, SIG. I hate you.
Listen, he would love it if I think Memorial Stadium was renamed the Ashtray.
Yeah, I think there's sponsorship capabilities with that. Could you imagine
the sponsors
the Marlboro Ashtray Memorial Stadium and just have a giant cigarette just bumping ash whenever they score and like smoke comes from it and ashes. Liz, if IU wants to hire me from some ideas, I won't take the job, but I'll give you some. These are free. All right, listen.
Freebies. Just listen to the Big Ten Huddle. You got some freebies. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying you're jealous. They're saying these are bold predictions, guys. You know, I mean,
if Cignetti strings along a few good years, I'll give him the credit. But you have one great year. You got more to go. This isn't, a one and done. You've got more work to do. More power to them. They had a hell of a year. If Purdue had a year that they had last year, oh Lord Almighty, I would have never shut up about it. So I give them credit. I give them a little bit of credit. I'm just saying the honeymoon phase is over, and now it's time for talk.
We'll see. Kirk Cinetti, I believe in you. So if you're watching the podcast out there, do not associate me with Dylan. All right, number 2.
So many people say that. Weird.
My number 2 bold prediction: Washington makes the playoffs and wins a college football playoff game.
Wow.
Washington Huskies.
I like it.
I think they do it.
I like their mascot. It's a good boy.
It is a good mascot. I think Washington has the ability here to go 10-2 this season. They're big games. They get Ohio State at home, Michigan on the road, and then they get Oregon at home. They do have Illinois, but that's another home game for them against Illinois, so that's a good opportunity there. This schedule is not, it's not Indiana last year or anything like that, but there are some favorable opportunities here. And as we saw on the top 100 players of the NCAA football video game, they got 3 of the top 100. So does this offensive line come together, give them the opportunity here? I think they got some guys that could possibly break out in the defensive line, like we talked about in the last episode. I don't have them rated super high because I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it does happen, I think you could see a 10-2 or 11-1 Washington team here this season. Again, bold prediction. I'm not predicting it will happen, but there is the opportunity there for that, and I think it'd be pretty cool if it happened.
I like it.
There we go. All right, Dylan, number 3.
So I think there are a good amount of people still high on Michigan and what they'll do this year. I think Michigan, and not only do I think, I kind of hope that Michigan's a dumpster fire. I think Sharon Moore doesn't survive the season. I think he gets booted. I think his seat right now is kind of toasty just off of what's happened. But I think Michigan is due. And like I said earlier with my Ohio State take, I think they lose to Ohio State by double digits. I think it's not a close one. And I think Ohio State finally, and Ryan Day finally gets that off his back and he takes care of Michigan. But I don't think Sharon Moore survives. I think he may cry just like he cried when he won as an interim when Harbaugh was fired or suspended, whatever. And I think he gets the boot. And I think Michigan fans are going to start eating all the smack they've been talking the last 4 years, which is rightfully so. Rightfully so. They've won. They won a natty. They beat Ohio State, blah, blah, blah. Did they cheat? Probably. But I think they have a bad year. I don't think they have the year. They have the talent, of course. I know, and I'm probably going to eat these words here in a few months. But I would just like to see, and I predict to see, that Michigan has a rough go of it this year.
Hey, either you or Dave's going to be right. Dave says Michigan goes 11-1. So it's either going to be you or Dave. Bobby Mack says 6-6. So
hey,
let's just meet in the middle. 8-5.
I think 6-6 and for Michigan is bad. Same for Ohio State. If Purdue goes 6-6, we have a damn parade. If Ohio State goes 6-6, the world's burning and everything's going to hell. But it's just different. We're on different levels. And I think even if Michigan goes 6-6, that's a bad year for Michigan. So I could see Bobby Mack. I think I met Bobby Mack a few weeks ago in Columbus when I went to the spring game. I didn't go to the spring game. I tailgated, but
There you go.
I think I met him there. 8-4 from Dave. Hey, even I feel like 8-4 is something they'd be happy for, but they're definitely losing to Ohio State this year.
We'll see. Like I said in the last episode, at this point, I think Ohio State should win, but I'm not going to pick them to win until it actually happens. So, yeah, Bobby says he did. Bobby says he did.
What up? I knew it. I have a memory somewhat.
Yeah.
CTE kicks in once in a while, but
Love when Bobby's here. Bobby's great in the chat.
he's a
He
good
said
time.
I need to be drug tested though for my bold prediction about Washington. So
People say that a lot to me too. I don't.
yeah. Well, he's not disliking your Michigan bowl prediction, Bobby, Ohio State fan Bobby Mack. So, yeah, he's fine with that one, very much so. Okay, number 3 for me, Dylan. I'm gonna actually go against you. My bold prediction is against you here. 0 Big Ten head coaches are fired this year. That is my bold prediction. I honestly think we are going to see less head coaches fired in this day and age of college football with revenue sharing and everything like that. And I also think Billy Napier last year is going to impact some teams. Billy Napier was a coach that probably would have been fired in the normal era of college football, but he had DJ Lagway, who, if he stuck around, DJ Lagway was sticking around. And then on top of that, you're going to revenue sharing, and you don't want to be in the hole, in the red every single year because of one bad fire or something. It's the same reason why I think they fired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M when they did, even though the buyout was huge. They were like, we got to get this to happen as close as we possibly can. So I do think there is some possibility with Sharon Moore with the sanctions if something does happen to him. I have no idea what's going to – I'm not even predicting Michigan stuff at this point because I have no idea. I've given some thoughts about some stuff that could happen, but who knows? Luke Fickell is another question mark, but Luke Fickell also got an extension from last year, and I know that was like something that routinely happens every year. His buyout didn't necessarily change, but still, I think that's an indication that he could possibly not be fired. And then Lincoln Riley, I think there's too much investment with USC for them to fire him. I think he's got at least 2 more years, and then also on top of that is the revenue sharing and stuff because it's going to cost a lot of money to fire Lincoln Riley from all the rumors that we hear. So I'm not saying there won't be any coaches that leave. I'm just saying I don't think there will be any that are fired.
Yeah, there's a big difference between leaving and being fired. Did you see the photo Matt Rule posted here? I think it was today or yesterday.
The boom box and the cow.
Yeah, the cow in the background. Like, it makes no sense at all. But I thought that was awesome. I love when coaches do random stupid stuff like that. It's always a good time, unless you're Ryan Walters, and oh boy, he posted some things that him dancing in his car when we got Hudson Card, which that ended up being not good. Not saying Hudson Card was a bad quarterback, but he wasn't as good as we thought he was going to be. So it depends. When you play good, you talk a lot, and I mean, is Nebraska there yet? They got Patrick Mahomes Jr. We'll see. But no, I thought that picture was electric. I liked it.
Trojan Fight agrees with me. He says soonest Riley gets fired would be maybe 2027. So, hey, there we go. Trojan Fight agrees. I appreciate it. As long as he's not doing the Brian Kelly, fingers in the front of the eyes.
I strongly dislike Brian Kelly so much.
Yeah, I think everybody does. I've not met a college football fan that's like, I'm a big Brian Kelly fan.
Just like now you say it, never heard that in my life. That's a good point. I'm a fan wherever Brian Kelly's coaching. Never have heard that.
That doesn't happen. All right, number 4, Dylan. Your bold prediction number 4.
My beloved Purdue Boilermakers, who won 1 game last year, Indiana State.
45-0.
45-0. This is a big game.
Hudson Card set a record.
Had a hell of a game. And that was it. That was all she wrote for that season. Other than that, it was sorrow, sadness, and guess who was at every home game? Yeah, boy. Sat through the Notre Dame loss, sat through the Ohio State loss. It was rough. It was really rough. Now, I know I went on our podcast last season and the year before, and this podcast and the OHIO podcast, and I said Ryan Walters is going to be a hell of a coach. He's going to be a great guy. And people like to give that back to me, which is fully, warranted. Fine. But there will never be a Purdue football coach that I'm not like, I love him, because why would I root for him to fail? I don't care who Purdue hires. They could hire Brian Kelly, and I'd be like, hey, you know what? Maybe he's not that bad. Uh, hopefully that never happens.
Big Brian Kelly guy over here.
Yeah, I remember at one point it was after Hazel, and there was rumors Les Miles was coming to Purdue, and I was like,
I remember that as well. Yeah,
and I was like, hell yeah, I could get behind Les Miles at Purdue. In retrospect, very happy that didn't happen because we got Braum, and Braum was awesome. God love him. But I think Purdue, and I hope for my own sanity, Purdue goes 6-6, and we make like a Pop-Tart Bowl or Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, which I don't even think is a thing anymore. But I would love to see Purdue go 6-6, squeak it to a bowl game, and then everybody probably leaves, and it's an LSU in the Citrus Bowl game again, and we lose 100-0. Even if that would make me reasonably happy that we just do that. And the bar is very low for my beloved Boilermakers, but I would love to see Purdue go 6-6 and make a Pop-Tart Bowl. I've said this on our podcast. If I go back in our group chat, I want a Purdue Pop-Tart Bowl championship more than I do a national championship. I love the Pop-Tart Bowl. I think it's genius marketing. They have such amazing mascots and a giant Pop-Tart that the team eats afterward. I would love for Purdue. I would buy all of the Pop-Tart championship bowl gear that my grubby hands could get on. And I'd be thrilled if Purdue were to go 6-6 this year and win a Pop-Tart Bowl.
If Purdue makes the Pop-Tart Bowl and wins it, what player is eating the most of the Pop-Tart?
I'm rushing the field, and I'm going down there, and I'll find a way. I don't have any friends currently on the team right now, but I'll make some. I take that back. Ryan Brown, I've talked to him a few times, quarterback that went to North Carolina and then came back. It's a
fantastic game he had against Illinois.
Hey,
kind of put him on the map a little bit.
Kid's good. Maybe I can get hold of Ryan and he can give me some access. I want to be there next to Barry, and I want to be scooping Pop-Tarts out and just right in the face. I want to be there. I doubt they'll ever give me a press pass if they watched anything I've ever done on the internet. I doubt I'll get a press pass, or I can go off one of my friends, Stu Schweigert. Maybe Stu and I can get field standing ovation. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I just want to be down there with our MVP, whoever that may be. It's hard telling. I don't know who could be the MVP right now, but I just want to be eating that gigantic Pop-Tart.
It's Devin Mockabee or Ryan Brown, one of those two.
Yeah, and I know Mockabee's dad. I'm good friends with Uncle Mock, I call him. So maybe I can pull some strings there. But one way or another, I'm gonna wedge my way onto that field.
Love it.
If I get arrested afterward and get charged, worth it.
Ate a Pop-Tart.
Guilty as charged. Lock me up.
Pitt Snipe Husker did say, for the sake of contrarianism, I'll be Brian Kelly's only fan. He says in parentheses, somebody's got to do it. So thank you, Pitt Snipe Husker, for your sacrifice. We do appreciate it.
God love you.
Hey, and Trojan Fight does make a good point here. Josh Henson could be good for Purdue. I actually had him pretty high in my offensive coordinator rankings with what he did at USC. I know a lot of people just say it was all Lincoln Riley, and don't get me wrong, Lincoln Riley is the offensive coordinator there. I mean, at one point his title literally was head coach / offensive coordinator, but that offensive line was better with Josh Henson there, I believe, and I do think that if Purdue can get their offensive line right, that can be a bright spot for them this year to hopefully get them to 5, 6, maybe even 7 wins or something, and make your bold prediction true there, Dylan.
Well, and I think too, I believe it's our offensive or defensive coordinator. I can't remember his name. All these coaches are new. It's hard to follow. Has a mullet, wears a backwards visor, has a bunch of chew in his jaw, and wears like those real sharp, like cop Oakleys, you know what I mean? Like the party Oakleys, or like the, what do they call them? The new ones the kids wear. Anyway, Pit Vipers. That's what I'm looking for. He wears those, and that's electric. And I tweeted that Purdue football was back based off of him. And Henson didn't retweet it. He screen grabbed it and then posted it. Kind of lame. Like, give me a little something here, Henson. Geez Louise. But no, I like it. I like what we're doing. I like Josh Henson. I like the staff Barry's put together. I keep calling him Barry like we're on a first name basis. He has no idea who I am, but like Odom a lot. But we'll see, man. If we got mullets and Chew and Oakley's on the sidelines, I'm all about it. That's what excites me. Give me a mullet, sign me up.
I love it. I love it. Dave's here does make a good point. He says, "Why is there no cereal bowl? The copy would write itself." Listen. There need to be more bowls with food advertised with it, and they need to get rid of the coin toss at the beginning and just make it a food eating competition between each team top offensive lineman, and that team gets to choose the receiving or defending. I think that would be much more entertaining.
We need to start our own marketing firm, specifically college football marketing firm, and we would make millions.
Ashtray, stadiums, hot dog eating contest. Actually, Fruity Pebble eating contest before the game.
Isn't there a Tony the Tiger Bowl in that? Well, that'd be considered a cereal bowl, right?
Yeah, but they don't do anything fun with it.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I give Pop-Tarts a lot of credit. They kill it. I love what they do there. That's why I want Purdue to go. And it's in Orlando, and I have family there, and I don't have to pay for a hotel, so that's a plus too. But
totally,
I almost went to the LSU Citrus Bowl game. Very happy I did. Thrilled I didn't go to that one.
All right, good deal. All right, my bold prediction number 4, Dylan. The Big Ten will win 50 out of conference games this season.
I like
50 out of conference games. That would mean that the Big Ten would only lose 4 out of conference games. Now, the ones that I'm looking at here that are the biggest contention, we've got Iowa, Iowa State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Northwestern, Tulane, Ohio State, Texas, Purdue, Notre Dame. Don't let us down, Purdue.
Probably will.
And then Wisconsin, Alabama. Other ones in there, I mean, like UCLA and Utah, but I think UCLA should be able to take care of business there, especially with that one being at home. But, I mean, if you only lose 4 of those, if you get the other ones there, hey, that'd be one heck of an out-of-conference for the Big Ten to win 50 out-of-conference football games, especially with 9 conference games on the schedule. So, I don't know. Am I crazy, Dylan?
No, I think you're a genius in every way, shape, or form. I like that take. I think it's a good one. PK said, I hope DK is paying you money for the viewers you're losing for his takes. I prefaced what I said before this, that if you take my take seriously, that's on you, PK. From one DK to a PK, listen, that's on you, pal.
DK to PK. There we go. Don't worry, PK. Zach has been very pro Indiana lately. Zach will be back next week.
And I love Guggenheim to death, but my goodness.
Dave says, how about Nebraska, Cincinnati? Yep, that's one too. I think, I mean, Nebraska should be able to take care of business there, but I don't know.
I have bad time.
Say Ohio State should be able to take care of business against Michigan, and they lose to them 4 times in a row. So what do I know?
Last time I was at a University of Cincinnati football game, Purdue played there in, it was 2010, 11, and they lost literally like 70-0. And it's crazy. I remember this. Our only plus was Cody Webster, our punter at the time, had like a 80-yard bomb of a punt. That was like all we had. And it was 100 degrees. It was one of the first games of the year. I wore all black like an idiot, and I damn near passed out. And so I've gone to UC for other games, but like I have a lot of UC buddies, and they think UC is the next coming of Ohio State. I don't know. The last time I was at that Nippert, it was not a good time.
Yeah, I'm not a big UC guy. I root for UC because they're in the state of Ohio. But yeah, they have an unhealthy hatred for Ohio State. And it's like
they really do.
All right, whatever. It's like when your little brother who's 6 years younger than you is like, I'm gonna beat you in basketball, and it's like, okay, maybe when you grow up someday.
Yeah.
Maybe when I'm on a walker. But
listen, my older brother's 10 years older, and he has beat me in everything. We're both way too out of shape to be doing anything physical right now, but like if I'm sure maybe I'd have a chance. But I get it. Little brother never gets the way.
Trojan Fight says USC likely not beating Notre Dame. I forgot about that game because it's like week 8. Normally the Big Ten has all of their games in like the first 3 or 4 weeks, and I forgot about that one. So yeah, my 50 game wins for the Big Ten, definitely bold. Might be bolder than some of Dylan's predictions, but we'll see what goes from there. So and Hummus Hero says hello, JR and DK and chat. Thanks for being here, Hummus Hero. We appreciate it. All right. Mike says, "Why am I sweating out Minnesota's trip to Cal? Yeah, they lost a ton on the portal, but those late night West Coast kicks are always tricky." Yeah, I mean, to me, Minnesota and Cal is kind of like Nebraska, Cincinnati, right? Like Minnesota should be able to win it. I guess not exactly that way because that's a neutral site game and it's very close to Nebraska. But it's one of those games where like I'm putting it on the back burner, but going into that week, I am probably going to be giving a little bit more credence to that game. However, Minnesota's good enough that this year they should be able to win that game. So, all right, Dylan, your last and final bold prediction.
I kind of just came up with this one on off the top of my dome.
Good.
And I'm thinking like Ohio State plays Texas. And then after that, I don't know how many other Big Ten SEC games there are. You probably do.
I think it's Michigan and Oklahoma and Wisconsin and Alabama are the only other two.
Oh, Wisconsin, Alabama kind of worries me. I think the Big Ten will come up on top versus the SEC this season. I think they'll – I don't want to say a sweep because Bama against Wisconsin worries me. And I don't know anything about Oklahoma, but I feel like Michigan is pretty up, like can compete with Oklahoma. But I feel like the Big Ten will come up winners over the SEC this season. I don't know how that's not scolding hot.
No, but I did think about this. I thought, what if the Big Ten goes winless against the SEC in the regular season, and then they go undefeated against the SEC in the playoffs?
I like that. I like that. I do like that.
Change it to that?
Yeah, we'll change it to that.
Okay.
That makes me sound smarter.
Winless versus SEC. All right, I'll write that down when it's not my turn to get my bold prediction. All right, number 5, my last bold prediction. I have. Why can't I read? Oh, here we go. I thought I wrote Iowa. I was like, that didn't make any sense. No, 2 Big Ten, and I'm not saying Iowa couldn't do this. Okay, don't get me wrong, but I predict 2 Big Ten teams will go 9-3 and make the playoffs.
I like it.
We had 4 SEC teams last year go 9-3, and all 3 of them, or 3 SEC teams go 9-3 last year, and they all missed the playoffs. I think you get 2 this year in the Big Ten, and they make the playoffs. I'm looking at Ohio State could do that, Michigan could do that, USC I think could do that, Washington Purdue. Maybe, yep, Purdue, sure. We'll give it to you, Dylan. Penn State. I don't think Penn State's going to go 9-3, but if it happened, I definitely think with all the hype they're getting this season and how highly ranked they're going to be, and they have 3 losses on this schedule that wouldn't knock them too far down the rankings. I mean, if they lose to Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana, depending on how that goes, like those should be high enough ranked teams that they shouldn't get completely knocked out of the playoffs. Yeah, those are my teams that I think that could happen. I'm not sure if there's any other teams. I mean, if Wisconsin goes 9-3, they're in the playoffs. But
yeah,
I don't think they're going 9-3. My bold prediction was they win 7 games. So, yeah. But yeah, Dylan, is that too bold?
No, I think it's bold, but it's good bold. That's a solid prediction as always, JR. That big brain of yours.
I try. All right. Max says, I think Indiana will have to go 10-2 to make the playoffs given the schedule.
That ain't happening.
I don't think it's I don't think it's so much the schedule. I think it's still just the national perception of Indiana. Like Indiana's probably going to be ranked outside the top 20. I wouldn't personally put them there. I know this is, you might cover your ears now, Dylan. I'm going to say some nice things about Indiana. So, but I think it's still probably the national perception of Indiana that keeps them out if they're 10-2 and less about the schedule. Because you do get at Oregon, at Penn State, Illinois, at Iowa this year. Like those are some games that you're going to not get knocked down the rankings too far for. If you lose those. So if you beat Illinois and Iowa, but you lose to at Oregon and at Penn State, you're probably towing the line of a playoff berth there if that happens.
I hope Dylan Thieneman, who's at Oregon now, has like 7 interceptions against IU. That'd be awesome.
Are you rooting for Dylan Thieneman?
Oh, yeah. Season? I like Thieneman. I'm friends with his brother. We've had him on the show a bunch. The Thienemans are good people. I don't blame them. I mean, hell, if Oregon called me and they're like, hey, look at all this fancy stuff we have, come on over, I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I don't. After a 1-11 season where like you came off an All-American year, and you're a hell of a ball player, like I don't blame him. I'm not very like I root for Jeff Brom in Louisville. I'll root for Thieneman in Oregon. I'm not a very like I don't know. I'm not very salty. I don't hold grudges. There are a lot of Purdue fans that give me a lot of hell for still rooting for Jeff Brom, but I enjoy Jeff. His brothers, Jeff, I like.
Oh, there we go. Listen, you just got 10 bold predictions that are happening in the Big Ten this season. If all 10 of these things happen, Dylan and I will definitely take credit.
Yep.
We take payment in the forms of super chats and also donations on Twitter. Dylan, you got your donation open on Twitter?
No, but I will now.
Okay, yeah, get your tips ready. That's the rule. If we get all these right, you guys have to donate and send us tips on Twitter and send super chats here on YouTube. So we'll have a special Dylan episode if we get them all right.
Heck yeah.
There we go. All right, Dylan, anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
No, I feel like out of all the Huddle episodes I've been on, this may be the one where I've been most professional. And I just want to say pat myself on the back. And then maybe I'll be allowed on more episodes. Maybe they'll bring me out of the cave once in a while. But no, it's always fun being with you, JR. I love what you do here at the Huddle. You are our fearless leader, and we love you so much.
I appreciate it, Dylan. We are going to try this season to have more 3-man shows. Me and Zach did a lot of stuff just kind of on our own last season. We're going to try to do some more 3-man shows. We did that a little bit with the Thursday night episodes, but those weren't able to work out. So we're going to try to have more people on, and Dylan will definitely try to get you on once or twice during the season. In addition to all the amazing people we have over at the
We have a good
Huddle.
crew. We have a good crew of folks. I will say that. Even Kent, he's all right.
Even Kent. We'll see if Kent might do power rankings this season. Again, we'll see.
So, we'll have to get him from his busy schedule.
Yeah, he's the kids and everything else.
From his 2 p.m. college video games and Tuesday. I love it. Like it's 1:30 on a Wednesday, and I see Kent's live playing NCAA, and I'm like, hell yeah, Kent.
You didn't have any dogs to sit that day. So
yeah. It's not like dogs can't watch themselves most of the time, but
that's true. Oh boy. All right. Check Dylan out over at Boiler Express at Boiler Express _ on Twitter. DK saying things Twitter over there as well. He doesn't want to give out his real name because he has a real job now. So got to be careful with that.
Now I have an actual real job.
So listen, if we want unfiltered DK, we got to let him have some anonymity here.
Yeah. Listen, we're getting there. I think my principal one day, she's like, I watched the podcast. I'm like, don't ever do that again, please. Don't ever, like, please don't. You will think much poorly of me.
I'm never going to tell anybody when I'm on a podcast. So
good. That's how I do it. Incognito.
There you go. All right, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for listening to the YouTube live stream as well. We will catch you. I'll have Chris Drew with me on Tuesday night. We'll be talking about Big Ten offensive line, as also standard news, notes, stuff like that going on in the Big Ten. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Have a good one.